Some say that if you want to be a great warrior, you gotta lose your arm and get a metal replacement. It looks like that's the case for our guy Gustav. What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over Expedition 33. This game has been out for a couple months now, but if you are new to the game or just curious about what it has to offer, you're in the right place. This video isn't going to be getting into story spoilers because the story itself is incredible and worth going through and experiencing for the first time without knowing too much. Let's jump right into it. The story in this game doesn't explicitly lay out what means what or serve things up on a silver platter saying, this means this and this is important, but at the beginning it took me a while to get through the prologue and get hooked in. But paying attention to what is being said, especially at the beginning, will help you with understanding how this world works, because it's unlike anything else I've ever experienced. The premise of the game is that every year the Paintress will change the distant number and everyone at that age will basically be Thanos snapped away. So each year an expedition is sent to try to stop the Paintress from ending the lives of the citizens of Lumiere each year. As the story progresses, you start to piece things together about its mysteries. Members of the expedition train to prepare for their journey and each have their own special abilities that they use to take on creatures that they encounter along the way. Now Expedition 33 has gotten a lot of hype and positive reviews since it's been out. It's a turn-based game where you have different moves and abilities, but it's much more of an active experience than your typical turn-based game. I've heard it be compared to Final Fantasy more than any other game. I'll admit that I haven't played that series. That'll change one day, hopefully.
Catch me if you can!
So because of that, it's hard to compare the two, but there is one other game that I played that reminds me of Expedition 33, and that's the Pokemon games. Because of the leveling up system, the move set, and how some move types are more or less effective against certain enemies. But in turn-based games, after you've selected your move, you gotta sit and watch what's going to happen and wait until it's your turn again. But in this game, when you select your move, you also have to time the attack so that it's going to be more effective. When the enemy attacks, you gotta be on your toes. Depending on how they attack, you can dodge or parry, but for certain attacks, you'll need to jump or gradient parry. So it's kind of like a Souls game where you might need to fight an enemy a few times to learn their moves, but you can actually adjust the difficulty in this game, unlike the Souls games. It is hard to think of things that this game doesn't do well. It's also surprising how well this game runs. I didn't have any issues with glitches, which is less and less common these days. It's also very surprising to find that this wasn't made by a huge studio. In a way, it reminds me of Among Us, where a small team put out a game that was a huge hit that everyone was talking about. One of the aspects that I love is the voice acting. Without giving too much away and saying who is who, you have Charlie Cox from Daredevil and the legendary voice of Andy Serkis. Some real heavy hitters here, but all of the other actors are incredible too. The story makes you care about every character and the voice acting plays a big part of that. For the best experience, I think it's worth it to explore as much dialogue between the characters as possible. Throughout the story there will be times where you hang out at a camp, which is very similar to the camp in Red Dead 2, where you can skip past things that happen there, but it's worth it to spend time with the other members of the expedition. Even though there's no fighting at the camp, it's still worth your time. It would be impossible to talk about what this game does well without mentioning that visually, it's one of the most beautiful games you can play. I have a hard time of thinking of games that are visually in the same league as this game. Some that come to mind are Skyrim and Red Dead, but those games have worlds that are much more grounded, literally. You have things floating all over the place and it looks very abstract, but it's beautiful. My favorite location is this place right here where you're
Under the sea. Under the sea.
Another thing that I cannot leave out is the music. It perfectly complements the game's atmosphere, enhancing every moment of the journey.
Like a snake. It's not that high.
There's a lot of emotional ups and downs during the game, and the music and sound design takes things to a whole nother level. Now, since Expedition 33 is basically a work of art, you might think that it takes itself too seriously. But there are moments that will catch you completely off guard with how funny they are.
Is that a Kestrel?
But it's not like a Marvel movie.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
Exploration is a great way to get an advantage in combat. It allows for you to fight more and more enemies so that you can level up. You'll also be able to find items that will help you with leveling up your weapons, character, or items that you use during combat. The only small complaint that I have is that when you're exploring areas that are not in the open world, you don't have a map, so you have to rely on your memory of where you are, and it can be easy to get lost. I think it's more of a personal preference because I can see how some people would like that it makes the exploration aspect more challenging. Another tip is to spend time planning on abilities that characters have that you can use to complement other characters in battle. Some will have moves that deal fire damage, and other characters will be able to absorb health from attacking enemies that are already on fire. Playing the game on a harder difficulty will make it more rewarding, and it also makes it so that you have to be more careful in your decision making and strategy. It will certainly make the game feel longer because you have to get stuck on bosses that put you through the ringer, but it makes it that much more rewarding when you're finally able to deal the final blow after so many attempts.
Yo, Adrian! I did it!
Even if you've never played a game like Expedition 33, it's certainly worth playing. It's priced at $50, and it's also on Xbox Game Pass too, so why not? If you like a challenge, a great story, a beautiful environment, one of the best soundtracks in gaming, and characters that you'll absolutely fall in love with, then give Expedition 33 a try. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you in the next one.